Hello for another episode of The Bench with Jenna and John. This week, we have leadership, culture and performance at St Helens. James Roby, also known as winning 6 Super League titles, 2 Harry Sunderlands, 4 Challenge Cup wins, I think Dream Team 7 times, 20 seasons in Super League. Arguably the greatest player we've ever had on this podcast. James Roby, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What about that? Such a greedy career, that. Isn't it? When you say it back, it's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many trophies?
I missed some stuff off too.
Well, yeah, if you include in league leaders, 20 trophies over 20 years.
How many league leaders then?
20.
8 league leaders shields as well.
In some ways, actually, that's the most impressive.
Super League's all-time record appearance holder as well, I think was on my list. How many appearances?
I'm not sure. 551 for Saints. I'm not sure about Super League.
495.
Yeah.
495?
495.
Is that right?
Yes.
You've been told in your ear. Jenna's just got that in
This is
her
my
ear.
research.
She hasn't researched that at all.
Sounds
Rose
right.
is absolutely nodding. This is
Yeah.
my... Did you not hear my spiel at the
No,
top?
I just heard the producers there, the 495, Jen.
No,
495.
there is no producer on this.
All right,
is there,
fine,
John?
Fine.
Yes, James Roby. So you've been retired. Well, end of 2023, you hung up the boots. Take us through what your role is. So leadership, culture and performance. What does that mean? What does your day look like?
Yeah, so obviously it's a bit of a sort of new role. I kind of class it as a bit of a hybrid role between sort of a link between the business side of the organisation or the staff who work at the stadium here and also as a rugby side, if you like. A little bit of a connector, I suppose, between those two departments, but also try and reinforce standards, if you like, and values and the culture that we kind of want at the club across the whole teams, because we've obviously got scholarship, academy, reserves, the men's first team, the women's first team, the women's academy, and then you've got all the staff here, like I've mentioned. So it's important that we try and increase that connection and one club sort of mentality, one club DNA, and we're all here for the same reason. We're all one big team together, and generally around the place day to day, could be doing all sorts of different bits and bobs, but I'm just kind of an extra pair of hands as well, in and around the first team environment on the field when the lads are, training. Obviously, Lee Breers, Eamon O'Carroll, Paul Wellens, they've pretty much got it sorted, but I'm just there kind of, if they need a little bit of extra hand, I'll give them my input if desired.
Do they come to you for much? Bits?
Little bits every now and again. I'm obviously involved in conversations in the coaching office every now and again around certain issues, and I'll give my opinion as well. But yeah, it's quite a broad sort of range of bits and bobs that I do.
Because you have said a couple of years ago that you definitely don't want to get into coaching. Has that changed?
No, I don't think I want to coach. I don't think I'm probably not that way inclined. My personality, probably a bit too laid back to be. It might be a good thing actually, but I don't have rugby on the brain all the time, and I think to kind of the amount of work. Obviously on the staff side now, I've been a player for so long. And then when you're on the staff side, it does give you a newfound appreciation for what those guys actually do day to day. The amount of stuff that you are oblivious to as a player that goes on behind the scenes, that the staff are running around like headless chickens. There's just obviously it's a time pressured sport, and we've got a game at the end of every weekend. Or the end of every week, that we're preparing for, and it could be something as simple as a last-minute change to the players that are available for the day's training. So they've already planned sessions around having so many people available for certain drills, and then next minute the physio knocks on the door and goes, "Oh, such a body's got a sore calf," so we have to change that, and it's always got a knock-on effect, and there's loads and loads of sort of scenarios and different things, but I think one of the main things, like I mentioned, is as a player, you're just worrying about your own preparation. You're just getting your own job done. Whereas staff, you're looking after those players, and you need to enhance or improve their preparation and their sort of mindset going into a game as well. So it's much looking after the other people, if you like, rather than yourself is a big difference, and it does make you appreciate the staff a lot more.
Yeah, on that you said something then that I recognised in you when we played for such a long time. Your ability to
14 seasons together,
14
right?
seasons, but your ability to switch off from rugby. You said about you not wanting to coach because you maybe not that obsessed about rugby that it can. That needs to be your driver when you're a coach. Do you think that was a massive superpower of yours, that ability to go away and switch off?
I think it definitely helped me, in terms of sort of longevity of my career, because obviously, the ability to sort of come to work, almost clock in, clock out, and then leave, and not kind of worry too much, about things that are outside of my control. And I always had the mindset around, as long as I get my job right, as long as I do my job and to the best of my ability, turn up with the right attitude and all that sort of stuff, that's my job really, and I'll kind of lead through kind of maintaining standards rather than being the big loud presence. It was probably something that definitely helped me with my sort of the mental side as well as the physical side.
You always had the ability to switch off, though. I always remember looking and feeling like, do you know, if we had a bad week or something, I always loved that Robes was just, you were so level throughout your career, weren't you? You never really super high or super low.
Yeah, well, it's probably a weakness as well, like you say, because there's certain scenarios. But obviously, I'm quite a stable, sort of consistent, sort of level-headed character. I'd like to think, and that can be good at times, but it can also, be a bit of a downside. But I always try to be that sort of stable presence, and especially, lucky enough to obviously captain the club, and I just thought, you need those sort of senior players, leadership players to really give you a stable base to build off.
Because you were Mr. Consistent on the pitch as well, so much so that you always almost expected you to have a good performance, right? So when you weren't player of the match and somebody else was, I sometimes used to think that's not fair, but it was because every game you were so good, so it just became expected. In 2023, you hung up your boots, as I said, same year as Sam Tomkins. Towards the back end of 2024, he announces that he's coming back. You thought what when he did that?
I did get a few texts saying,
did you?
question marks.
Off airman.
But no, I think, I'm done. I've kind of...
Did you not think another 5 and I could reach 500 Super League games?
Yeah, maybe. There's a part of me, like in my mind, I could still play. I could go on the pitch tonight with no training and get it done, which is stupid, really. Do you know what I mean? But
do you genuinely believe that you could do that?
Not a full game, but I could do a spell. Do you know what I mean?
10 minutes,
So just this is like recorded, this is going to go out. So
no, that's what I mean. I've had my hip done and all sorts since we finished. So, I think if someone had tackled me, I'd probably wave the white flag. Sorry, but yeah, when Sam came back, there was a small bite of me like thinking, come on, that competition, but it's for the best. I've had my time, and
I would love it if you came back now. It would be so good. What's
Could
the
you
longest
come back,
between?
John?
No, not at all. What's the longest between retiring and coming back? That's what I want to know in sport. What is the longest gap?
Gaz Ellis was retired a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
came back.
But
Well, Sam's had 3 stabs at it now. He's that, you need, this is his time.
Do you miss it, Robes?
I don't think I miss playing. I definitely don't miss the contacts. I'm so glad you don't have to deal with that. I suppose you get a bit frail as the years go by and the wear and tear on your body and stuff. So I really enjoy waking up in the morning now feeling nice and fresh. No real sore and ailments and stuff. But when there's a big atmosphere at the stadium, I miss being a part of that sort of thing a little bit, and you feel as though you're still on the edge of it as a staff member, and a bit more involved obviously as a player. But I don't necessarily miss playing the game. I've had my time. Like I said, I'm happy. I'm content with what I did in the game. But one bit I probably do miss is kind of that internal battle and that sort of being in the probably more at training, like the fitness sessions and the horrible training in the middle of winter when it's peeing it down and you've got to go up and down and you just know it's going to be awful. But there's a weird part of us that we kind of push through it, and you come off that field and you've kind of earned that soreness or that fatigue, or it's that sort of challenge with yourself, like to prove to yourself almost what you're made of. And I do still feel as though there's a small element of that, like an itch that I can't scratch at the moment. I need some sort of challenge.
There's an inherent, I think it's in the human, condition is we have an internal voice, all of us, right, that tries to stop you getting hurt, stop you feeling pain, stop you, getting emotionally hurt, all of these things that your internal voice, and most people, it stops them. I found throughout my career the biggest thing is being able to understand that and not react to it and not stop.
Yeah.
And I always used to think that when we did fitness rubs and you'd win fitness and I'd be chasing you or whatever, we'd just be running after each other.
So just the two of you?
Yeah, well, me and Rubs, I think for a period there, we were probably the best running fitness-wise at the club. And
who was the best?
Rubs. He was lighter. He was lighter and smaller and fit.
No, we've always had a fit squad at St Helens throughout the years. Always had very good scores on fitness.
Yeah, that's such a good base, isn't
Yeah.
it? But one thing I observed when I was playing, and Robs might agree with this or not, is once somebody starts to drop out in anything, a drill, a fitness drill, just a simple running drill.
It's like a yo-yo?
There's a period in any running drill or any fitness drill where everybody's together, right? And everybody's doing it. And then as soon as one person buckles, it's like dominoes.
Because people don't want to be the first one to go.
No, and it's also as soon as one person like gives in to that internal chatter and drops out, people almost find it acceptable to do that. And I think one thing you were always amazing at, Robes, is shutting that out, or even arguing with yourself, or conflict with yourself whilst you were doing it.
So how did you do that, Robes?
I'm not sure. It's just probably part of who I am, but I always enjoyed that. I thrived off that sort of. I think the main thing is seeing it as a challenge, not as a threat. And people, when they're in the middle of something and they can feel the pain, your body's screaming to stop, all that sort of stuff. And obviously there's not only me. You've done it, John, yourself, and multiple players and people throughout the world. But you've got to thrive off that challenge and meet it head on, and almost like, come on then, let's see, let's keep going. Who can't do another one? And that was just something that I always kind of enjoyed, that sort of mindset and thinking, and it obviously pushed me to do as much as I could, really.
Yeah, I always used to feel as well, I got better when other people got worse. Do you know?
Yeah.
As in a situation where it's tough, I was better when it was tough. Do you know, like long weekends, like in the Lake District, like people, like we did a fitness weekend in the Lake District, and let's say day one, everyone's fine. Day two, some people start to creak, and then day three, when it's really bad, I was good. I could get people over longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Whereas
but
I couldn't.
What do you put that down to?
Well, I just think, like Rob said, I was so good at the internal voice thing when it came to fitness stuff.
Yeah.
I used to struggle with it. I used to struggle translating that into games, actually. That was my biggest problem. Whereas Robes, I think, seamlessly took all of that stuff from training, and he did it so well in games. He's just like metronomically good, turns up, did all those things, and that's what inspired the Saints' period of success. Was built on him completely.
So you heard me at the top spiel off not all of your achievements. I know I left off Man of Steel, I left off World Club Challenge. When you sit here today, when you reflect on your career, 20 seasons in Super League, what do you think about? Do you look at it how we look at it, and we look at you as, I know a lot of kids, a lot of St Helens fans, Super League fans look at you as quite a hero. Do you look at yourself like that? How do you see your career?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I'm content. I think that's the main thing. Success is peace of mind for me. I finished a happy man. Like I said, I was very lucky to obviously finish on my own terms. I've had injuries and stuff like that, but it didn't force me to finish. It was almost my own decision. I've experienced success. I've been a part of many great teams. Across obviously 2 decades, luckily enough, played with many great players and individuals and people who have become friends. So rugby has given me pretty much everything I've sort of got in my adult life, if you like, and my children have grew up with dad was always a rugby player, and so it's a little bit of a change for them as well. But yeah, I look back and I'm really happy with what happened, and I think me as a character, John will tell you, I'm not brash, I'm not loud, I'm not, I didn't crave the spotlight at all, and I still don't, obviously. I just, if anything, it wasn't about the spotlight, it was more about just standards and consistency. Yeah. And
as captain, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this, but as captain, it was like when you spoke, everybody listened because it always meant something. It wasn't, you didn't necessarily have the loudest voice or but every time you spoke, it was for a reason.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's really nice to hear things like that. Do you know what I mean? When people obviously, say good things about you and reflect back of my career and rugby, and it probably helps the fact that, like you say, I'm not one of those guys who's going around day in, day out, pulling people up and calling things out. But again, there's probably a weakness to that. I look back over my career now in hindsight, and I look back and there is certain things I probably could have done better at times. And, we talk about, I looked after myself all the time, first and foremost. Do your job. That was kind of something I used to say a lot to all the players, do your job, do your job. But come to realise now, well, yeah, you've got to do your job, but you've also got to help the guy next to you a little bit more, and you've got to almost encourage that young lad, or, have somebody's back or put an arm around his shoulder. And maybe that was a little bit that I missed. So obviously, there's always strengths and weaknesses in everybody, but yeah, I was very lucky to have the career I had.
Yeah, and I think, look, with James, it's easy to say, if a man of few words doesn't crave the spotlight, but you can do that, but not have the respect of people. James had the respect of people because of what he did, his actions, his consistency. Consistency is the word for me that describes your career. It's, 8 to 9.5, 10 out of 10 every week.
The Federer of rugby league.
Yeah, Roger Fed. Yeah, just not as stylish.
Yeah.
That's it.
Not as stylish.
Not as stylish.
Not as rich even.
Not as rich. Not stylish, not as rich, Roger Federer.
You mentioned you played in some good teams, obviously 2006 winning the treble alongside your mate. What would you say was the best team you were part of?
Yeah, it's very hard.
Kind of led you to the 2000s.
Yeah, and I don't really like
no.
comparing teams because there's different eras and there's different factors at play, that variables and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, I can't get away from the fact of the 4 grand finals in a row and then going over to Penrith and beating them in the World Cup Challenge. And there was a core nucleus of players there that obviously were a part of that. Some of the lads who are still here today, obviously. And then there was players who left halfway through as well. You've got to remember, like Lachlan Coote came for 3 years and then left, and Theo Farge and people like that. And I just think at that time, sort of, if you think about what goes into building a high-performing team, or what goes into building, that cohesiveness and togetherness, and sort of team-wide commitment, and the trust, accountability, and the commitment that we had in that period was off the scale. It was through the roof, and it was really a non-negotiable. Do you know what I mean? And the lads they lived and breathed it every day. And I think obviously we've seen the fruits of that on the field.
So it's been a couple of seasons without seeing you on the pitch. When we were walking over to film this, I said to you, have you done much media? Have you done much press since finishing? You said no. So it's interesting you said that. So I actually, when I was just doing my prep for this podcast, I went on Google and I was like, James Roby, hit news. And I was surprised at how many stories came up.
Yep.
And just for example, this one came up.
Big stories.
At around 3:45 p.m, 2 officers in unmarked police vehicles spotted a Jaguar on James Roby Way, which was travelling above the speed limit. It was article after article, and they're all really recent. I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's James done?
Can you imagine having a road named after you, so that constantly now your name, which is heroic and symbolic, is now attached to minor road traffic accidents?
Yeah.
Three men were arrested.
This was a big one, though.
A transit van is on fire on James Roby. Digitally now, Robs, you're a road. You're just a road. You've not created any news other than the bad news about the road. How good is it having a road named after you, though? I didn't realise it till I got on the sat-nav and it says, entering James Roby Way. And I was like, that's crazy.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? I suppose. At first, I was a bit like, it's a bit different. But yeah, it's a huge honour. Obviously, it's the main road's coming into St Helens off the M62, and a lot of people remind me of it, and the kids find it funny when it comes up on the sat nav and stuff.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, it's great. I wish they'd have put a toll on it for me, but
why didn't that? That'd be such a good money spinner. What would you want? Just 5p a car? You'd be laughing.
Like that bridge near
Warburton Bridge.
Warburton
Bridge, a family own a bridge, and they charge something like 2p a car, and
something stupid.
They make hundreds of thousands, but you didn't get that. Made me think, actually, if you were going to be named after anything, a road's good. But what else would you have liked to be? Jenna, if you were going to be named after anything, what would it be?
Good question. Stadium?
A stadium.
Maybe stadium. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the James Roby Stadium has a better I think it sounds better than the
Yeah.
toilet
It's a
paper.
The road will do.
Yeah, no, I think
really good.
yeah. It's a cop out just to stand though, isn't it? They usually
You know,
took a
I don't
stand.
want to stand. I want to be the whole stadium.
Yeah, Jenna Brooks Oval or something like that.
What? Yeah, I'm sure you've got something. That's why you asked the question. Go on
No,
then.
no, I haven't at all. I think it's a museum, or I don't know, maybe something. I don't know, big a bridge. A bridge would be good. I'd like to be a bridge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bridge.
but Robes has got a dual carriageway named after him, and I just love that the news generated by Robes. This is how quiet he is minor road traffic accidents.
There is a McDonald's and a Tesco on it though. As well.
So there you go. Just keeps
quite
delivering.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about St Helens at the minute, because it's probably been a challenging season. Loads of injuries. I know a lot of teams have had a number of injuries. Went through a bit of a difficult time, kind of caught away through the season. Now flying. As it stands, we're here at the Totally Wicked Stadium ahead of St Helens Lee round 19. I mean, you're right in the mix. 5 wins on the spin. What is it like being part of this club at the minute?
Yeah, very good, very enjoyable. Obviously, I'm sure as anybody would say, we're a results-based business, and when you're winning, especially at a club like St Helens, it's not there's no smiles on faces after you've lost the game, should we say. And obviously, we experienced a little bit of adversity there earlier on in the season, but, these last 5 weeks in particular, there's definitely been, a bit of a shift in form, and obviously we gained that momentum and we play good on the pitch, and then, you bounce into training the week after. You can look at things, you've got sort of a bit more flexibility to work on the things that you want to going into the next week, and obviously we've done that, and I think, credit to the coaches and all the staff really, because you get to this point of the season as well, and you've got to be very mindful about putting too much load into the players and or not enough load, and it's but you've got to maintain. And I think the balance that the staff have obviously constructed over the last few weeks has been brilliant, and obviously we're seeing the fruits of that on the pitch. And I was really sort of made up and proud to be a part of obviously last week's game. Sorry,
that was at Leeds.
Like John mentioned, at Leeds,
6-0 win,
so
incredible defence.
Real gritty sort of backs against the wall. We experienced a couple of HIAs. We got a guy in the sin bin, but there was no sort of acceptance that that's not an excuse. And the sort of defence that they showed there is obviously more of what we want, going forward, and that sort of character and sort of the momentum that can build within the team is great.
How much difference is there then? So 5 weeks of winning, I pretty much know the answer to this, but then let's go back to when it wasn't great. How much of a different environment is it now as to it was back then? And even in the stadium here, it's a different feeling just after 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's different in the fact that obviously you have the bounce coming into training and all that. But to be fair, the lads are great. The team is obviously, the sort of core group and the players themselves, the standards and the sort of attitude, the work ethic, the sort of humbleness, the trust that they've got in the group, their acceptance, of stuff has been great throughout the year. And it was almost, I remember having those sort of conversations around that tough period where, we're not actually doing much wrong. We were training great. We just maybe we're executing well enough on the field, and a couple of sort of concentration errors that were putting under pressure. But we tidy that up, and if anything, keep it quite simple, and we seem to be going on the right trajectory now.
Yeah.
So things are good now. Back, as I said, there was a period where things were tough.
Yeah.
Paul Wellens, the head coach, your good friend, I'm assuming, former teammate, was under pressure. It wasn't great. How was that for you as part of the coaching or the backroom staff, if you like? How was that for you, and what did you have to do in order to kind of keep him up and help him, I guess?
Yeah, well, Paul's obviously he's been around the game longer than I have, and he knows inside out, and there's almost an acceptance of if you're going to be a head coach, you've kind of got to understand that's part of the job, isn't it? And
the expectation is slightly different here as well. Like after what had been as well, I just felt like there's a real expectation that Saints would just win without quite understanding how difficult it is to maintain that for such a period of time. I think Paul was under pressure, but James is right. Coaches take that job knowing that they are inevitably at some stage going to face that pressure. And if you look at the history of the club, 4 back-to-backs, an ageing squad, slight reduction in quality squad, other squads were getting better. I thought it was sort of inevitable that Saints would now become what I would say is a top 4, 5 and 6 that is incredibly competitive, you know. But then that's easy to say.
How does that sit with you
but it's
hearing him
harder
say
for
that?
fans.
Top
It's
4,
harder
5
for,
or 6?
well, no, it's top,
Yeah, no, we're higher than that.
yeah, no, top in the top 4, 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Finished sixth last year.
We're going for as high as possible.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
will be higher than 5 or 6, I think. Definitely.
Top, no, what I said in the top 4, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I didn't mean 4th, 5th or 6th, Robes. I was
So,
in the top.
Robes, you've been part of this club forever.
Yep.
You're now part of you are the leadership, culture and performance.
They need
Will you
something
ever
after
leave?
that, doesn't it?
I feel like it needs to be
Lead
head
it-
of
no,
or something.
Coach.
Says-
Coach.
yeah.
There you
Okay,
go.
coach.
But
Sorry,
just said
leadership,
you just
performance.
announced him like he's like some sort of AI program. And here we have leadership, culture and performance,
Yeah.
just in,
James
in
Roby.
its entirety.
Okay, coach. Are you ever going to leave? Do you ever see yourself leaving the Totally Wicked Stadium or maybe the James Roby Stadium one day?
That's a funny question. But yeah, no, I don't see. You know, I'm happy where I am at the moment. I'm enjoying the job. Obviously, it was an easy transition, if you like, going, you know, staying around the environment. The lads, a lot of them I've played with. Obviously, the staff, a lot of them have been sort of long-term staff. So yeah, I'm happy where I am at the moment. But obviously, I'm not naive enough to understand that. You know, I am conscious. I have sort of my whole adult life has been at St Helens, working at St Helens, living within the town. And you know, there's a part of us that would, me and my wife, you know what I mean, that would like to maybe venture somewhere else, maybe live in a different area, or you know, try something new job-wise in the future. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be here forever, but obviously I'm happy where I am at the moment.
Yeah, there is like a curiosity to like what else. You know, when I finished, it's
Yeah.
like what else is there?
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit of that. I think everybody has that in life, don't they? You always wonder, well, is there something I'm not missing out on, but is there something else? That,
Yeah.
Do you like doing media?
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, it's something that I would obviously potentially get more involved in.
Yeah.
Again, you've got to be quite careful when you're working at an organisation and a club, I think. But yeah, the media is something what obviously, yeah, I don't know. I've
Never say
kind
never.
of been a player
Yeah,
and
been
all
around
that, and I can
You know
talk
the
about a
game
game. I know, I
inside
understand it and stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah, I would be interested in doing it if it was available.
There you go, Robs.
Before we wrap, on the pod, we've got on and off the bench. On the bench, something to see less of, off something more of. Not necessarily in rugby league. Can be rugby league, can be world sport, it can be
Yep.
just life. Have you got an on the bench, something you want to see less of?
Less of, so it'd be rugby related, and I think over the last couple of years, maybe I've just noticed this more because I'm not playing. People lying in the ruck or in the way of the play of the ball a lot.
So as a hooker, right, someone's playing the ball and there is a large body in the way.
Yeah,
and
or
stopping the ball
someone
from
even
being
just
played.
stood there in the way.
Right.
Do you know what I
So
mean?
intentionally
That's what I mean.
to slow it down.
You can't really prove it's intentional or not, and it just slows the game down. I just think it frustrates players, it frustrates the fans, and ultimately, like you say, it takes away from the game.
Yeah, I
Bench
think
it,
that
bench
anything
it.
to speed the game up. Like the game at times can be too slow. So
Yep. Bench it, love it.
bench it, yeah.
Off the bench, more of.
Tough one. I think to keep it rugby related as well, I'd probably say I think we've got a responsibility to back young British talent
Yes.
a lot more than we have.
Yeah. Love it,
And
Robs.
I think a lot of clubs are very good, us being one of them, at developing their own homegrown talent. But I think, is there something we can do, or is there sort of, I don't know the right, is there things we can do to sort of push that more and give these young British talent more opportunities, more game time, more experience, more belief. Ultimately, it's going to improve the English squad further down the line.
So
Yeah.
obviously seeing the increase in quota spots from 7 to 10 next year in 2027, not really helping.
And I'm not
that.
saying stop. Like, obviously, the quota spots are still going to happen. It's nothing against that, but I just feel as though
It shouldn't come at the cost of academies or having your own academy.
Yeah.
You should, as a professional club, be required to produce young players yourself. There should be an academy at every club.
Yep.
Otherwise, Saints carry all the burden. Wigan, Saints, Leeds, Warrington. You know, those clubs then just become a factory to produce players for the rest of the competition. And there's benefits on the cap for doing it, and also there's a large cost to doing it. And I think it should be a game-wide requirement rather than just focusing on quota spots as a way to get new players in.
Well,
And
it's-
that brings me on to what my
Well, we're actually out of
no
time.
on
I'm
the bench
so
on the bench
sorry. What a
14
shame.
14
We're gonna do it anyway.
14 teams.
Okay.
14 teams. what are we talking about? We're stretching
So,
our playing pool.
14 teams potentially increase.
It's mental.
In the
It's
top
crazy.
flight,
I was at Salford
going
at the
from 12 to
weekend.
14.
There was 2,000 people there. Salford are on the verge of bankruptcy, and we're talking about expanding beyond them.
So we are out of time. I'm not just saying it. We are. This is a topic that we will need to get into.
Yeah.
I think you're quite passionate
Well,
about
someone will
it.
clickbait that bit. won't they?
We
you know what I
will
mean?
give it
It's
more
inevitable.
time when we have
Yeah.
more time. But James Roby, the greatest hooker this country's ever produced. When you hear that, what do you think?
The greatest hooker of all time, the goat.
The good.
I don't know. A bit uncomfortable, to be honest, but
Do you like the goat? He's smiling. He loves it.
It's all right.
He loves it.
it's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, James Roby, the good.
The goat.
Thank you so much for your time on
Yeah,
the bench.
legend.
Thank you for
Legendary.
watching. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.